The Jonestown Massacre. Cult leader Jim Jones led his People's Temple followers to commit mass suicide in Jonestown, Guyana, resulting in the deaths of 909 people. The journey begins. In the bustling city of San Francisco during the late 1970s, an eclectic group of individuals gathered at the airport, their faces etched with a blend of hope and uncertainty. They were followers of a charismatic leader who promised them a new beginning in a far-off land, a utopia where they could escape the social injustices and hardships they faced at home. Among them was Anna, a young teacher disillusioned by the educational system, and Michael, a veteran seeking peace after the horrors of war. Together with families, retirees, and idealists, they shared a common dream of building a society based on equality and brotherhood. As they boarded the plane, whispers of excitement mingled with quiet doubts. The flight was long, and as the plane soared over international waters, the reality of their decision began to sink in. What awaited them in the jungles of Guyana? Was it the paradise they were promised, or had they boarded a flight to an unknown fate? The plane touched down on a makeshift airstrip surrounded by dense forest. The air was heavy with humidity, and the vibrant chorus of the jungle was both enchanting and intimidating. They were met by a welcoming committee from the settlement, their faces beaming with pride and joy. As they were shuttled to the commune, the setting sun cast long shadows over the dense canopy, hinting at the darkness that lay ahead. The first night was a celebration of their arrival. The newcomers were treated to an abundance of food and heartfelt speeches about the bright future ahead. Yet, as Anna looked around at the jubilant faces, she couldn't shake a creeping sense of unease. The jungle encroached on all sides, a constant reminder that they were isolated from the world they knew. As the night drew on, Anna found herself on the edge of the crowd, her eyes scanning the tree line. There was movement there, subtle and almost imperceptible. Was it just the wind, or something else lurking in the shadows? After their first night, filled with both celebration and subtle unease, the settlers awoke to their first morning in Jonestown. The early sun filtered through the towering trees, casting dappled light across the rustic buildings of the commune. Anna and Michael, along with the others, were given a tour of what their leader James called the Promised Land. As they walked through the settlement, they saw gardens lush with vegetables and fruits, chickens roaming freely, and children laughing as they played among the simple wooden homes. James led them with a proud swagger, describing the communal meals, the shared labor, and the education they would all contribute to. "Here, we are all equals, united in our purpose," he declared. But beneath the idyllic surface, there were signs of strain. Some of the longer-term residents appeared weary, their smiles not quite reaching their eyes. In the fields, people worked with a diligence that seemed driven more by necessity than communal spirit. Michael noticed a group of men talking quietly, casting nervous glances towards James as he spoke. In the afternoon, Anna volunteered in the schoolhouse, teaching a group of eager young children. The joy of teaching rekindled her passion, yet she couldn't ignore the way the curriculum strictly adhered to James's teachings, emphasizing obedience and loyalty above critical thinking. That evening, as the community gathered for dinner, a storm began to brew, both literally and metaphorically. The wind picked up, rustling through the trees with increasing ferocity. Over the communal meal, James spoke about the sacrifices needed to maintain their sanctuary from the corrupted outside world. His tone had shifted. The benevolent leader was now more of a strict patriarch, demanding unwavering commitment. As the rain began to fall, pelting the tin roofs of Jonestown, Michael found himself seated next to one of the men he had seen earlier in the field. In hushed tones, the man confided his growing concerns about the control James exerted over every aspect of life. "It's not what I signed up for," he muttered, his eyes darting nervously around the room. Later, as everyone retreated to their cabins amidst the torrential downpour, Anna lay awake, listening to the rain and thinking about the man's words. The promised utopia seemed increasingly like a gilded cage, and the idyllic day had darkened with the storm. As she drifted into uneasy sleep, she wondered about the boundaries between community and control, between utopia and prison. In the days that followed, the initial awe that had greeted the settlers began to dim under the harsh realities of life in Jonestown. The work was grueling, the heat oppressive, and the leadership increasingly authoritarian. Michael and Anna, once buoyed by hope, now found themselves wrestling with disillusionment. One morning, a mandatory assembly was called. The entire community gathered in the large, rustic communal hall, a structure made of rough wood and thatched roof. James stood at the front, his presence commanding as ever. His voice, once full of persuasive charm, now carried an edge of stern admonition. He spoke of loyalty and the dangers of dissent. "There are forces that would see our paradise fall," James declared, scanning the crowd with piercing eyes. "We must be united, without question, without hesitation." Anna felt a chill as she looked around. Fear had crept into the eyes of many, replacing the spark of idealism she had seen on their arrival. Beside her, Michael's jaw was set tight, his discomfort palpable. They exchanged a look, a silent acknowledgement of the shift they both felt. In the following weeks, secretive whispers filled the corners of Jonestown. Small groups met under the guise of night, their discussions filled with fear and plans of escape. Michael found himself drawn into one such group, driven by a desperate need for freedom. Meanwhile, Anna focused on the children, her concern growing as she noticed the increased indoctrination in their lessons. The education that was meant to liberate was slowly morphing into a tool of control. Her worry deepened when she overheard two teachers discussing a new directive to report any signs of dissent among the youngsters. The tension reached a peak during an evening when the community's generators faltered, plunging Jonestown into darkness. In the flickering light of torches, Anna stumbled upon a heated argument between James and a settler who dared to question the new punitive measures. The confrontation was brief but intense, ending with the settler being taken away by James's security team. The message was clear: obedience or punishment. That night, under the cover of darkness, the whispering grew into urgent planning. Michael returned to their cabin with a mix of fear and determination in his eyes. "We can't stay here," he whispered to Anna. "It's not safe anymore. We need to leave." The mood in Jonestown had irrevocably changed. What was once a hopeful sanctuary now felt like a fortress under siege. The air was thick with suspicion and fear, as the leader James tightened his grip on the community. The directives became more draconian, and the punishments for dissent more severe. Under the cover of darkness, murmurs of escape grew into desperate plans. Michael, once a soldier, now found himself plotting a different kind of mission. He and a small group of trusted allies gathered secretly in the dense jungle surrounding the commune. Their meetings were tense, filled with hurried whispers and cautious glances. The plan was risky, involving sneaking past armed guards and navigating through miles of unforgiving jungle to reach a distant village where they could contact the outside world. One night, as the moon cast a pale light through the dense canopy, the group met to finalize their plans. The atmosphere was charged with urgency. Anna, despite her fears, insisted on joining them. "I'm not leaving without you," she told Michael firmly, her determination clear. Meanwhile, within the commune, James sensed the growing unrest. His speeches became increasingly paranoid, filled with warnings about traitors and external enemies. Surveillance was intensified, and the nightly roll calls grew stricter. The community was suffocating under his control, every aspect of life monitored and regulated. The night of the escape was fraught with tension. A tropical storm was brewing, and the wind howled through the trees, masking the sounds of the small group as they made their cautious way towards the perimeter. The rain started as a drizzle, but soon turned into a torrential downpour, drenching them as they slipped through the mud. As they neared the edge of the commune, a guard suddenly appeared, his flashlight cutting through the darkness. The group froze, hearts pounding. Michael, thinking quickly, managed to divert the guard's attention, allowing the others to move past undetected. But as they fled, a shot rang out in the darkness, a stark reminder of the peril they faced. They pushed on through the night, driven by a mix of fear and hope. Behind them, Jonestown remained shrouded in darkness, both literal and metaphorical. Ahead lay uncertainty and the slim hope of freedom. The escapees' journey through the night was fraught with peril, but by dawn they had miraculously reached the outskirts of a small village. There, exhausted but relieved, they managed to contact authorities and recount their harrowing tale. Meanwhile, back at Jonestown, the atmosphere was more charged than ever. James, aware of the defection, gathered the remaining followers in the main pavilion. He stood before his congregation, his face a mask of controlled fury. Behind him, the sky was a foreboding canvas of dark clouds, mirroring the storm brewing within the commune. He spoke of betrayal and the need for a final commitment to their cause, his voice rising over the murmurs of the crowd. "Today we prove our loyalty," he declared. "Today we show that we are not afraid of sacrifice. We are not afraid to lead the world by example." The implications of his words slowly dawned on the gathered crowd. A chilling realization spread as containers filled with a poisoned concoction were brought forth. The ultimate test of faith was before them. Anna, still in the jungle, felt a surge of dread. She and Michael, along with a few others, had circled back, driven by a desperate need to help friends and loved ones still trapped in Jonestown. Hidden at the edge of the clearing, they watched in horror as the scene unfolded. As the first followers hesitantly approached the poison under James's watchful eye, cries and pleas began to echo through the pavilion. Families clung to each other, torn between fear and indoctrination. The scene was chaotic, the air filled with a tumultuous mix of defiance and resignation. James's voice boomed over the clamor, urging, cajoling, and commanding his followers to drink. The storm broke overhead, rain cascading down in sheets as if the heavens themselves were mourning the impending tragedy. In a last, desperate effort, Anna and Michael broke from their cover, rushing into the pavilion to dissuade as many as they could from partaking in the deadly ritual. Some hesitated, swayed by their pleas, while others, too far gone in their devotion, dismissed their warnings. The commune was irrevocably splintered in those final moments, between those who chose to follow James to the very end and those who, spurred by the sudden intervention, reconsidered their choice. As the rain washed over everything, blurring the lines between savior and destroyer, the day ended not with a celebration of spiritual ascension, but with a somber tableau of loss and disillusionment. The tragedy of Jonestown would be remembered not as a testament to faith, but as a stark warning of the dangers of unyielding belief in a flawed leader. If you found this video informative, kindly give us a like, share, and click subscribe, as this motivates us to produce more true crimes content. You can always join the discussion by dropping your comments in the comments section. Don't forget to switch on the notification bell to receive alert when we drop new content.